Welcome to Talk Purpose and Truth, shifting you into higher consciousness. A show that elevates, uplifts, and encourages listeners to grow, heal, awaken, and evolve. Eden and Kim include bold topics, interviews with inspiring guests, experts, and celebrities, intuitive readings, channeled messages, mental health awareness, and hot topics to expand your awareness. Tune in for unprecedented truth, authenticity, on-purpose discussions.
Because we wanted to just flow with this episode and see what we're meant to talk about. So Eden and I naturally just started sending each other video. We do this all the time where we have people we admire on Instagram and people that are spiritual leaders or just great, teachers and things like that. And we go, wow, I love what they said. That helps me or gives me insight into my ascension or awakening journey, or just to expand as a person, heal better, all of those things. And so we started sending each other videos, and then it just came about that we were like, let's share the ones that are really profound because it can help other people too. Just the basic message of what they're saying. So we just have several that we want to share with you. And they're all related to, it's going to help everybody in some way, I feel like, because it's all related to healing and how to live more heart-centered and how to let go more, which everybody has trouble with that. Like, what does that mean? How do you take action and let go? And, just why do my mistakes keep repeating? That's a big one. Why do I keep having chaos happen? That's a big one. So these are going to answer a lot of those questions. So I will start. The first one Eden sent me, and I hope I pronounce her last name, but we're gonna give them credit in case you want to find them on Instagram. So the first one is Jessica Joins, Joines, Joines or Joins, and she says her video was saying it was about leading from your heart and signs from the universe. And she says the universe is always sending you signs of validation. Your heart is what's most connected to the divine. In really critical moments, there might be something you really want from your heart space, a goal, a wish, whatever it is you're being guided or led towards, the more true it is coming straight from source. And you might have stories about why it isn't possible, why you shouldn't pursue it. But the latter, the more true in the mind, the more possible in the real world it is. The universe will validate for you. The louder. They misspelled it on the Instagram thing, but it's the louder. So the louder it is in your mind, so the louder the message is in your mind, the more true it is. And sometimes even the more fearful you are, the more you're meant to do it. And that's what she's saying.
Yeah. And I remember she also said something about signs. So when you get signs out in the world, some people overlook them. I get so many. And if it's about something that's in your heart that you truly want, but you don't have it yet, but then you get signs about that particular thing. If it's coming from your heart space, not your mind or your ego, then the signs are to tell you that, like, kind of reassure you, don't worry, it's going to happen. And to believe that and trust it.
Yeah, I think some of the common ones would be like, let's say you're meant to take a job, or start a project. And then within the next month of you putting it out there, you get, someone discussing that exact topic to you. And then you hear someone on the radio talking about that exact same thing. And then maybe you get someone asking you for an opportunity, to give you an opportunity related to it. You're going, okay, this can't be coincidental. Yeah. I've even had where, I was kind of evolving into a different area of intuitive readings and coaching. And I was really being called to read this book. And within that week, 3 people told me to read that same exact book, out of all the books in the world. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy the book. I get it. So I think it's the validation of signs from the universe. And that's not just a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's about, when you see those signs, ask yourself, is what I want coming from my heart space or ego?
Yes.
Okay. So the next one that I have, it's a new one that we both kind of discovered, Kerry K. So Kerry with a K. We are so wired to feeling density and pain. spiritual warriors, that's what we do. We are almost not used to turning into the more subtle, more loving vibratory frequency, but that's what surrounds you. Let yourself breathe it in right now. So I think it's like the fact that she was talking about not being used to, um I think
The softer
yeah,
energy.
we're used to more of the, I guess she called it dense, the heavier energy, and we're always like in that frequency. We expect it.
And she's saying that we have the ability to tune into like a Mother Earth soft energy and just to consciously tune into it, whether it might be that you focus on like a bird outside and that is like a soft energy and you just tune that in and focus on it instead of always getting used to kind of chaos or craziness going on. And we almost expect that, or maybe you've been through stuff and you're programmed or used to chaos or struggle, and so your body's almost expecting it, and so you have to reprogram yourself to tune into the softer energy.
And also, because when we expect it, we keep saying that word, but it means that we're in lack, and we're in like the martyr mentality, like the victim, like something like bad always happens in my life, I can never get out of it. It means that the universe just is matching our vibration of lack. So if someone has lots of negative things happening, it's because of where we vibrate, or our level of consciousness, or the lens that we see the world through. So it's really about changing that part, that reframing how we see the world, our perspective, and catching that, whenever we're in that lack mentality, that we maybe shift it to something where we feel more gratitude, or like we see that it is enough, we have everything we need right here right now. Yeah, it's just those little tweaks.
And I think it reminds me of saying, check yourself. If you're saying, why is this always happening to me? Or why is this happening to me? Why do I deserve this? That kind of thing. Instead, go, why is this happening for me? And really try to trust, like, okay, even though this might be very uncomfortable or even negative right now or challenging, I'm going to trust that it's for a higher purpose. And like what Kerry K says is that it strengthens us and it helps us learn to be at peace with whatever's going on. Almost like it made me think of like the Dalai Lama or Mother Teresa, and just being in a place of like, even if there's stuff going on and chaos going on in the world, you can be in a Zen place at peace. And that's such a great place to be, like a great goal to have.
Yeah. So radical acceptance.
Yes.
What is? Okay,
the next two are from Corey Muscara, and it's Muscara on Instagram, and he's great. I think you might have showed me him. I'm not sure who did, but I signed up he has it where you can sign up for his free texts, and it's so inspiring because I get a text every day and it's always something really profound. So one of them here is, thoughts can be an expression of wisdom or fear. We must learn to discern the two if we want to live from our deepest wisdom. Thoughts from wisdom feel spacious. Thoughts from fear feel constricted. So that's so big, because we can then be so self-aware that we go, wait a minute, what's going on? Like, we get into a place of fear. And this is what I always say is like, thoughts are not facts. So let's say something negative has happened to you 10 times, like somebody's had 10 really bad relationships, and they're just in the place of like, oh, it's probably going to suck again. The 11th relationship, it's just going to fail. I expect it to. Then you want to tune in and go, well, wait, maybe you can look at this as, well, I've gained all this wisdom. So now the next time is going to be the best ever because I have all this learning and wisdom. And so I won't make the same mistakes. So when you catch yourself in the fear of, oh God, what is this? What if this is going to happen again? It's going to feel constricting and tight and, desperate and blocked. And instead just go, okay, I'm going to look into wisdom. Like, what am I bringing to the table? What have I learned? Can I open my heart enough to let love in and trust? And then that's going to feel spacious, like he says.
And that reminds me of another video that Kerry K put out recently, and she talked about the false matrix and the false programming. Um, so that's like the false beliefs and stories that you have in your head that something bad always has to happen, or my life always goes this way. I always end up disappointed. Those things are false. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. It's a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of it is your thoughts, what vibration you're, and sometimes you're doing all the right things, but there's just still some more learning that you don't yet understand, but you can look back on and go, oh, okay, now I get why that had to happen.
Yes, and I also, in everything that we're talking about like reframing the way your perspective, it's also important not to skip the step of acknowledging your feelings first. But that's only if your feelings are genuine and real. Um, they might come from your inner child, might be a trigger. But possibly it's about looking and seeing if they're from fear, and that's not reality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is it love or fear? And, and not having that, like a false positivity, like what's the word, like toxic positivity or false positivity, where you're trying so hard to be positive and then you're burying your feelings. So I'm always, for myself and for clients, I say, okay, give yourself that 10 to 20% that you feel it and you let it out. And, sometimes I'll, get really frustrated and, say bad words or whatever. But then I'm like, okay, now I got it out. Now I'm going to look at the good and how can I handle this? But I think not letting out the human part and acknowledging, like, you know what, I am sick of this. This sucks, or that did hurt me. You can't pretend like, oh no, I'm just, only having a spiritual experience and I'm okay. Well, maybe I'm okay, but I'm having a human experience. So I have sadness about this or fear or, so I think that's really important too.
Yeah, and there's also another way it can go, which is where if you don't acknowledge your feelings in the moment, and you just let them kind of sit inside you, become repressed, that's when people can become a victim of their situation, and feel like there always has to be something wrong, they attract the negative and their life sucks. Self-pity, things like that.
Mhm.
Just also another thing to watch out for.
And so you're saying if they repress it, that could get stuck kind of on a broken record type thing?
Yeah, that's again, it's like one of the false programming things that can happen, where it's our story in our head that are we're never going to get out of this.
Mm-hmm.
This is too much. I can't handle it. Um, or this person is the reason I feel this way. And then it makes you a martyr for, just giving someone else your power, for one thing,
Mm-hmm.
um, to, I guess, dictate, to determine how you feel. But it's about taking responsibility and going like, okay, my life doesn't have to suck this bad, and I'm going to do something about it. But more people are about wanting to stay in the suffering and the complaining instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it can sometimes, you can tune in and see if it ties back to childhood, or, something traumatic that happened. And a
Yeah.
lot of times it is, childhood was so chaotic that became comfortable for you. Like, for example, I'm reading Demi Moore's biography and it's crazy and profound. And she's so brave because she was so honest and she had one of the hardest childhoods I've ever heard. And she talks about how there was just so much chaos and moving and just abuse and all kinds of crazy stuff that all through her life she found herself being attracted back to that chaos, and she had to unlearn that and heal so deeply to not keep repeating that pattern. I think that's really common.
Yeah. That's along the same lines. Okay, so another one from Corey. Ultimately, honesty leads to a calm heart. You may first need to navigate the consequences of being with what is true. That can be rough, but worth it.
Yeah, I think that, I have learned, it took a long time, but I've learned that, in my marriage, in my friendships, to a point, then you really the more honest you can be with your feelings and with what's been going on and get it out, even how rough and uncomfortable it can be healed and discussed and, you know, dissected. And then you can move on from it with a whole new rebirth and plan. But, you know, most people, it's too painful to go there. I see that a lot with, for example, like in my coaching, I see it a lot with the women wanting to and the men refusing to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that unless they can meet each other halfway and really be open and raw and discuss things, whether it be arguing or not, it's not gonna ever go deeper. It might be more of a surface relationship, but you're not going to get to the deeper levels of the relationship unless you can get to the painful parts to heal and shift those things. And a lot of times it's in friendships as well. You gotta be able to air out the grievances or whatever you need to compromise on. Otherwise, there's going to be a break in the communication.
Yes. Okay. My favorite one's coming up.
Okay, you do that one.
Oh, okay. Phil good. Not only does he he has his private sessions and maybe I'll do one with him one day, but he does lives. He does a lot of Instagram lives, and he'll let people come on. Several people in a live will come on and ask a question, but it seems like every time I get to watch it, I learn something from him. He also posts a lot of reels. Okay, so what his video is about, this is sort of a summary of it, but letting go and clues dropping in whatever you're going through right now, hand it over to the universe. When you're in a state of letting go, you're not needing to know what it is. The universe will drop clues for you to make everything clearer. You don't need to try to figure out the solution when you have a relationship with the universe. That's deep.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right.
So,
and it's not crazy. Like if you're going through something, then you want to just fix it and you want to know how the outcome is going to turn out. And a lot of times it takes a lot of time because there's a certain amount of learning you're meant to do. And you don't always know that. You don't consciously know it. And maybe you decided it, you know, when you came into this world, this is going to be the learning I have to do or get to do. And so sometimes we have to just go, okay, I'm going to trust. And you know, what helps me is I'll go back on my timeline of my whole life and kind of like do inventory. Like, okay, I had this terrible relationship and, you know, this happened. And then I'll go, wait, do I regret anything? No, because guess what? I'm so much wiser and better and able to help more people. And so during it, yes, I was like, what am I doing? This is awful. I'm suffering. I want to get out. And then now I'm on the other side. So usually with almost everything, you're able to do that if you apply, you know, what happened as learning and wisdom. So I think that helps in letting go and trusting, like Phil talks about.
Yeah, and a good example, I just met with someone who's going through a difficult time. And she said to me that I think the universe is telling me that I need to quit smoking. And drinking. And yeah, smoking and drinking. And I stopped her and I was like, "Well, why do you think that?" And because I'm like hearing in my head, I'm hearing this. Okay, well that's that's something you need to listen to and then follow through because the universe is telling us where our highest path is, what we can do, make what changes we need to make, what we need to let go of, in order to be always on our highest path and aligned with our highest truth, and what our soul wants for us. But oftentimes we don't listen to that. And it pops up. Some people are not aware, but it's just subtle sometimes. But that is what he was talking about, a relationship with the universe. It's that listening, that tuning in, and it's always going to lead us on the right path. But sometimes we want to resist it, or a lot of times we want to resist it because sometimes that means we have to break up with someone, or we're going to go through a lot of pain. And not smoking and drinking means I'm going to have to feel my feelings. I can't escape anymore. Oh, I can't go through that, but they will always suffer them.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And it helps, with lifestyle choices as well. Like I have one that I need to let go of and I haven't yet. Like I let go of alcohol. I don't smoke, like all those things, but I have Diet Coke, and all of a sudden I've been having messages like stop drinking Diet Coke, but I don't want to.
Mm.
So I'm like, oh man, my one little vice. Can I have one little junk food, junk drink thing? And they're like, no. So I'm kind of like, it's so funny with habits like that. You have to like almost have a process of like, okay, I'm gonna like weed it out and like try, and then finally get to like the conviction of letting it go.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
my why isn't strong enough yet.
Well, because it's only Diet Coke. It's not
I
something
know.
that's like lethal or against the law and or harming you in like a severe way.
Yeah, I know, but still, I
Yeah.
mean, it's listening to those messages of like, it's like if somebody's eating a candy bar every day, it's probably not the best thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not horrible.
It's not.
Okay. So then our next one, we watch her a lot. And I want to thank you, Eden, because I think most of these you find. I don't know how you find them all, but you find these people and then I start watching their videos and following them as well. Do you go under hashtags of things? Is that how you find them?
No,
Or they just find you?
yeah, they find me. Let's say that's me listening to the universe. I
Okay,
don't know.
okay. Yeah. Well, I think one of the ones we're going to have on pretty soon, you found too, Erica Erin Doppelt.
Yes,
And
yes.
yeah, she's a great one. We're excited to have her on. But the next one is Lori Ladd, and I really love. It's Lori, Lori, and then Ladd. And you guys can go on Instagram, and she has some of the best powerful videos that always are the right time for me. Like with whatever I'm going through, I'm like, oh, she's going through that too. It's crazy. Like it's just profound.
And
so
before you keep going on this one, I just want to put it out there too. Lori and Phil Good, the one we just talked about, they are buddies.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what their relationship is, but they seem like friends. And they sometimes go on lives together.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to look for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So she says in this one, there are no mistakes in kind of like what we just talked about. There are no mistakes in what we are experiencing. The same situations keep presenting themselves so that we can learn to feel safe, even though it causes us to struggle and suffer. So it's like you got to think deeply about that. Go ahead, Eden.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much everything I just said. Really is. It's just the same in different ways, a different terminology. But yeah, that it's like our pattern is going to keep repeating, if until we learn the lesson. And this is where the victim mentality comes in. We act like it's someone else's fault, or it's the external of the fault of someone in the external or something external that why it's happening again, instead of looking within and asking, okay, what do I need to know about this? What is this teaching me? So that I actually learn that lesson. It won't repeat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we've all seen it sometimes it happens where there's family trauma or family generational trauma. So like, let's say, somebody had a criminal past and the uncle stole, then the brother stole and the dad stole. And until somebody learns their lesson and they're like, gosh, I don't know what's wrong with me, I'm a criminal too, because they haven't stopped to learn the lesson of like breaking that cycle. And so that's why I think I've seen people that go, gosh, I didn't do anything to cause this to happen, but maybe their mom and their grandmother had the same thing. And it's something that keeps repeating because no one has yet gotten the lesson to heal it. So it can pass on sometimes to family members.
That's like a repeating the cycle or pattern. Also imprint material that keeps repeating, and sometimes we're unconscious. We don't even know that that's happening. And we tend to, or sometimes people repeat their trauma because it's not healed.
Thank you for listening to Talk Purpose and Truth podcast. Find out more at talkpurposeandtruth.com. And follow us at Talk Purpose Truth on Instagram and Facebook.